There exist confessions that constrict the heart, each unspoken word transforming into an ever-growing mountain, burdening the soul with the weight of time. Ah, today marks the moment I unveil the torment that this suffocation has wrought upon my very being, the hidden truth that lies buried within the depths of my heart, shrouded in mystery. At the age of 62, an event unfolded that ignited a spark within me, awakening a sense of vitality I had never experienced before. And it arrived when least anticipated, shrouded in uncertainty. On that fateful morning, the patio's watering system chose to betray its purpose once more. The shattered nozzles in my chaotic routines whispered secrets of a life ensnared in a cycle, echoing the familiar yet elusive nature of existence itself. In the depths of solitude, where silence reigns supreme, a routine unfolds, shrouded in mystery and unspoken truths. Ever since my husband passed away, each time a task in the garden arose, I found myself reaching out to someone else for help. In a moment of whimsy, I plucked a name from the depths of the telephone directory, a gardener, perhaps, whose life was a tapestry of secrets and soil. Wyatt, the youthful voice echoing through the receiver, resonated with a surprising depth and unwavering strength. "I can go right now," he declared, a hint of uncertainty lingering in the air. There was an elusive quality in his voice, an indescribable essence that stirred a sense of intrigue within me. I made an effort to divert my gaze, to let the moment slip by unnoticed. In the end, it all boiled down to a mere issue with the nozzles, didn't it? Yet as the bell tolled, a profound shift unfolded, leaving uncertainty in its wake. As I swung the door open, the young man standing there exuded a vibrant energy that seemed to dissolve the dullness that had enveloped my existence. With a sudden motion, Wyatt let the toolbox tumble from his shoulder, crashing to the floor at the threshold, its contents spilling into a chaotic array. "Is the patio in this direction?" Naomi inquired, her voice laced with uncertainty. For a fleeting moment, I found myself caught in a web of uncertainty, my hand hovering just above the threshold of the corridor, poised yet reluctant to cross into the unknown. Indeed, just beyond that door. If you wish to uncover these enthralling mysteries before anyone else, subscribe and ensure notifications are activated. Stay tuned until the very end of the video, for things are bound to take an astonishing turn. I led him to the garden door. The young man's imposing figure loomed in the constricted corridor, casting an air of uncertainty around him. His muscles strained against the delicate fabric of his shirt, hinting at a strength that was both alluring and enigmatic. In that fleeting instant, I found myself utterly powerless. My gaze lingered on him, filled with unspoken questions. It had been ages since I laid eyes on a form so strikingly lifeless. My eyes lingered, caught in a moment that stretched beyond the bounds of intention. As he stepped into the patio, his confidence was palpable, leaving me with the unsettling impression that he was not merely there to repair a nozzle, but to unlock a door that had remained shut for what felt like an eternity. "Could this be the nozzle?" he inquired, his gaze fixed on the weathered accessory lying on the floor, uncertainty lingering in the air. "Oh, indeed," I whispered softly, a hint of uncertainty lingering in the air. What could have stirred such a tempest of nerves within me? What seemed like a mere repair job held secrets beneath its surface. Haunting echoes lingered in my mind, yet my heart stubbornly yearned to craft an entirely different narrative. Wyatt crouched low, peering beneath the intricate maze of pipes. With each subtle shift, the contours of his muscles became strikingly pronounced, a silent testament to his focus. It struck me then, he was holding his breath, completely unaware, as if the very air around him had thickened with tension. "It's somewhat of a relic," he murmured, his fingers tracing the contours of the pipes with an air of uncertainty. "But we can fix it. It could take a few hours." His voice, steady and assured, caught me off guard, leaving me to wonder what lay beneath the surface. It had been years since I encountered someone so young, yet so undeniably confident in their own skin. Perhaps that wasn't the issue at all. Perhaps it was that elusive sensation, long buried, beginning to stir once more. Just as I contemplated stepping away from the patio, Wyatt pivoted, his gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "Is it permissible to take a towel from that spot?" he inquired, gesturing toward a subtle trickle in the garden. My hand instinctively rose to my face, a wave of embarrassment washing over me. "Naturally," I replied with a hint of urgency. I reached for the closet door, my hands trembling with an unexplainable tension as I pulled it open. As I handed him the towel, our fingers brushed ever so slightly, leaving an unspoken tension hanging in the air. In that fleeting instant, a delicate sensation seemed to ripple through every fiber of my being. In that fleeting instant, it dawned on me that this was far beyond a mere repair task. That fleeting silence enveloped us, heavy with the unspoken burdens of countless unfulfilled hopes. "Thank you," he murmured, turning back to his tasks. Yet that fleeting glance in his eyes left me utterly unsettled. Thoughts swirled in my mind, each one more elusive than the last. Was it merely a fleeting surge, or had this young man stirred something within me that had long been encased in ice? As Wyatt knelt to adjust the nozzle, I wandered restlessly around the patio, each step echoing with unspoken questions. My hands were caught in a dance of uncertainty, either ensnared in confusion or reaching for the elusive plug. The stillness enveloped the room, pressing down on me like a heavy fog. Yet it was his very presence that tightened the grip around my heart. My gaze was drawn to him, almost against my will, as if some unseen force compelled me to look his way. His youth, a vibrant spark. His energy, a relentless force. How intensely he immersed himself in his work, leaving one to wonder what lay beneath the surface. Unbeknownst to me, a stirring deep within was emerging, a sensation long dormant, now clawing its way back to the surface after years of silence. An urge stirred within me, compelling me to utter something, anything. "There aren't many young gardeners," I remarked, a sudden awareness washing over me that my words hung in the air, perhaps more weighty than intended. "How long have you been doing this?" Wyatt paused, casting a glance over his shoulder, as if the answer lingered in the shadows behind him. The instant his gaze locked onto mine, an undeniable warmth surged through me, yet I was resolutely attempting to ignore it. 5 years, he murmured, his gaze drifting back to the task at hand, as if the weight of time hung in the air between us. Once, I was merely an apprentice, navigating the shadows of learning, until the moment came when I took a leap into the unknown and birthed my own venture. My insatiable desire to know was relentless. "How old are you?" I inquired, my voice laced with an admiration I struggled to conceal. 28, he declared, his voice steady yet laced with an unspoken tension. His youth took me aback, yet an inexplicable flutter stirred within me, leaving me to ponder the implications. His youth captivated me, stirring emotions I couldn't quite place, leaving me in a haze of intrigue. "Ah," I uttered, attempting to conjure a smile. "Your revelation of being 28 leaves me in a state of wonder. I might have doubted it otherwise. Your appearance seems to carry a weight of experience." Wyatt hesitated, his expression shifting subtly, hinting at an inner turmoil stirred by his own words. In the stillness that lingered for a few heartbeats, he resumed his tasks, as if the weight of unspoken thoughts hung in the air. His professionalism offered a moment of clarity, yet that tantalizing spark within me lingered, casting shadows of uncertainty. "Do you want a coffee after you finish the repairs?" "Naomi," I replied, attempting to steer the conversation into uncertain waters. My coffee machine is quite the marvel, shrouded in an air of intrigue and wonder. Whispers float around, suggesting that my coffee might just be something special. He lingered in silence, a tension coiling within him. He cast another glance my way, as though he were weighing the very fabric of reality in his mind. "I appreciate the offer, yet there are pressing matters that demand my attention today. I must leave as soon as I finish." A flicker of disappointment danced within me, yet Wyatt's resolve to maintain professionalism was unmistakable. Perhaps that was the very thing that rendered it all the more captivating. He approached his job with an unwavering seriousness, a steadfast professionalism that seemed almost out of place for someone so young. As he wrapped up his work, I caught him stealing glances in my direction, his hands busy with the toolbox, leaving me to wonder about the thoughts swirling in his mind. Those looks held an enigmatic allure, a silent story waiting to unfold. Magnetism pulls me in, a flicker of intrigue dances in the shadows, yet uncertainty lingers, casting a veil of doubt. "Finished," he declared, hefting the toolbox onto his shoulder with a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "The irrigation system is set to function perfectly now. Should any issues arise, don't hesitate to reach out." "I will, without a doubt," I replied, my fingers curling around the door frame. "I appreciate your swift resolution. Perhaps that's the perk of being young." A faint smile graced his lips, yet his demeanor remained steadfastly professional, shrouded in an air of mystery. He approached the door, hesitating for a fleeting moment, as though words lingered on the tip of his tongue, yet silence enveloped him instead. He merely nodded, a fleeting gesture before disappearing into the shadows. A connection seemed to be weaving itself between me and that young man, an inexplicable thread that perhaps should never have been spun. Yet I found myself lost in the uncertainty of its destination. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, a rapid pulse echoed within me, stirring a whirlwind of emotions I could scarcely comprehend. As I pondered the situation, a question lingered in the air. Was it merely a matter of tending to my garden, or had this enigmatic young man stepped into my world to alter the course of my existence? The following morning, I traversed from one plant to another, driven by an urgent quest for a Wyatt cheese enthusiast in my circle, my heart racing with anticipation. The sound pierced the silence, echoing with an unsettling urgency. "Greetings, Wyatt," I uttered, infusing my words with a hint of sorrow. "I believe the nozzle you repaired is faltering once more. I regret to ask, but would you be able to return?" Wyatt's tone remained impeccably professional, yet a fleeting hesitation lingered in the air. "Naturally, I shall bring along some spare parts this time, ensuring we can mend it for all eternity." "I'll be there in about an hour." I expressed my gratitude, and as I ended the call, an inexplicable surge of emotion washed over me. This time, I found myself caught in a web of contradictions. I yearned for readiness, yet a part of me craved the allure of appearing utterly unprepared. As I delved into the depths of my closet, my fingers brushed against the familiar texture of my favorite black lace robe, stirring a whirlwind of emotions within me. Perhaps something that envelops you in a gentle embrace, yet leaves you wondering what lies beneath the surface. I attempted to persuade my own mind, yet deep down an unsettling truth lingered, whispering that my efforts were in vain. As I gazed into the mirror, a sudden chime echoed through the air, the doorbell ringing with an unsettling urgency. With a heart pounding in my chest, I inhaled sharply and pushed the door ajar, revealing the unknown beyond. For just a fleeting moment, Wyatt's gaze flickered over me, a brief hesitation before he regained his composure. He carried with him a bag of tools, accompanied by a few enigmatic pieces of pipe. "Hi," I uttered, feigning a casualness that felt anything but ordinary. "I trust I'm not intruding too much. This nozzle is truly testing my patience." Wyatt averted his eyes, making his way toward the courtyard door. "Of course," he replied, a hint of something unspoken lingering in the air. "This time, I swear, it will be different." I trailed behind him into the shadows of the courtyard. As he leaned closer to adjust the nozzle, I found myself captivated by the subtle dance of his movements, each one laden with unspoken tension. His hands moved with the swift grace, yet an undercurrent of tension lingered in the air, hinting at something unspoken. "Is this a common occurrence?" "Component placement," I replied, attempting to break the heavy stillness. The delicate weave of my robe caressed my skin, igniting a sense of daring within me. "I wonder, do the things you mend ever shatter once more?" Wyatt's gaze remained fixed elsewhere as he replied. "Sometimes, but this time I feel a strange certainty. All the pieces I could possibly need are right here with me." "How meticulous you are," I replied, allowing a faint smile to escape. "I suppose you possess quite the talent for your work, especially at such a tender age." As I extended my hand toward the nozzle, a fleeting brush of my fingers grazed his arm, leaving an unspoken tension in the air. Wyatt found himself frozen in time, a fleeting moment of stillness, before he reluctantly resumed his duties. He averted his gaze, yet the air crackled with an unspoken tension that enveloped us both. "I'm merely attempting to fulfill my duties," he finally uttered, his voice dropping to a whisper. For a moment, the air hung heavy with an unsettling stillness. His aloof demeanor ignited a fire within me, pushing me to take risks I never thought I would. As he leaned in to inspect the pipe beneath the nozzle, my hand fleetingly brushed against his back, a moment suspended in uncertainty. "Finding someone with your level of skill is quite the challenge," I remarked, my voice laced with a hint of playful irony. This time, Wyatt lifted his gaze, a sudden tension hanging in the air between us. In his eyes lingered an enigmatic glimmer, a dance of uncertainty and tension, as if he were striving to seize the reins of a chaotic world. "Helena," he uttered, each syllable hanging in the air, as if he were grappling with the very boundaries of our connection. "The end of this task looms near, shrouded in uncertainty. After this, I won't trouble you again." Yet, for a fleeting moment, the rigidity of his tone wavered, hinting at something deeper beneath the surface. Watching him struggle to break free from this predicament stirred a deep, unsettling feeling within me. It was a surge of feeling, an unquenchable longing that had lain dormant for what seemed like an eternity. The duration of this tension was a mystery, teetering on the edge of an unseen precipice, and the choice of who would dare to cross that line rested solely in our hands. As Wyatt bent down to adjust the nozzle, I found myself leaning against the closet, my gaze drawn to him, captivated by the unfolding moment. The delicate fabric of my robe clung to my form, shifting with every subtle motion, evoking an air of intrigue and tension. Wyatt feigned indifference, yet the subtle quiver in his hands betrayed a deeper struggle. It was clear he wasn't merely resisting me. He was locked in a fierce battle within himself. "Do you really believe you have it all figured out?" I inquired, a hint of sarcasm lacing my words. Wyatt remained focused on his task, his gaze fixed ahead, yet an unmistakable quickening of his breath hinted at an unspoken tension in the air. "Naturally," he replied, his words hanging in the air, brief yet laden with unspoken implications. "This is bread eaten." "Is it truly?" "Naomi," I murmured, inching closer. "But why does it shatter once more every 2 days?" I lowered myself, feigning the act of retrieving a towel from the closet, and in that moment, the delicate fabric of my robe slipped from my shoulder. In the solitude of my experience, a surge of courage enveloped me, igniting a flame of bravery I never knew existed. As Wyatt's gaze met mine, time seemed to freeze for an elusive moment, a flicker of something unspoken hanging in the air. In a swift motion, he found himself back at his task, the air thick with unspoken tension. Yet, in this moment, he surged forward with an urgency that hinted at a deeper desire to conclude the unfolding drama swiftly. "Perhaps there's an unseen presence lurking in the yard, stirring up trouble," he murmured, his lips pressing together in a tense line. Yet there was a subtle tremor in his voice, a fragile attempt to project strength. "Perhaps," I murmured, pressing my back once more against the closet, the air thick with uncertainty. "Or perhaps the issue lies not in discovering the perfect touch." I allowed that statement to linger, heavy with unspoken implications. The silence thickened, wrapping around the small yard like a heavy fog as the tension escalated to an almost suffocating level. Wyatt paused, a heavy silence enveloping him, before he abandoned his tools and rose to his feet. His movements were deliberate, yet the expression on his face danced between certainty and doubt. On one side, there lies control, shrouded in shadows and whispers. On the other hand, a yearning he struggled to contain lingered in the shadows. I edged nearer to him, the space that once separated us now reduced to mere centimeters, a tension hanging in the air. His breath echoed in the stillness, a haunting reminder of the tension that hung in the air. "Helena," I murmured, my voice trembling on the edge of silence. Yet, just as I was about to complete my thought, his hands found their way to my waist. Helena's lips tightened, a palpable tension building with each fleeting second. The quiver coursing through Wyatt's body hinted at an impending shift, a moment teetering on the edge of revelation. In an instant, the stillness enveloping us shattered, pierced solely by the rhythm of our breaths and the pounding of our hearts, as if time itself had conspired to bring everything to a breathtaking climax. "Helena, we shouldn't do this," he murmured, his voice trembling with a hint of uncertainty, as if the very air around them held its breath. waiting for a decision that hung in the balance. Is that true? Naomi, I murmured, stepping closer to him. Are you certain? Wyatt paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face, as if the weight of the moment was too much to bear. Then, in a sudden twist of fate, he pressed his lips against mine. Our kiss started with a hesitant touch, a whisper of uncertainty, yet in mere moments, the intensity between us ignited into a fervent blaze. With our eyes shut tight, we held on to one another, as if the world around us had faded into shadows. With each passing second, Wyatt drew nearer, and we found ourselves drifting toward the house, our bodies brushing against the walls in a chaotic dance. Our hands intertwined, hearts racing, and in a fleeting moment of unease, I sensed the world shifting beneath us as if everything was on the brink of transformation. As we crossed the threshold into the house, Wyatt's hand tightened around my waist, holding me back from the urgency of my hurried steps. In a whirlwind of confusion, I found myself ensnared in a fierce struggle, my body engaged in a battle while my mind lingered in a haze, grappling with the chaos unfolding around me. Wyatt's surrender, a choice made, now looms as an irreversible shadow over their fate. Upon our arrival at the room, it was as if the very fabric of reality had unraveled before our eyes. Wyatt's shirt lay abandoned on the patio, while his pants rested carelessly on the floor beside the bed, hinting at a story untold. My delicate robe lay abandoned in the hallway, its fabric caught in the embrace of the carpet, as if it were a whisper of a forgotten moment. Amidst the chaos, a storm raged within us, leaving us both restless and unable to find solace. We found ourselves entwined in the sheets, our bodies pressed together, as if the world outside had faded into a distant memory. Our bodies lingered in close proximity, our breaths entwined in a delicate dance, echoing the rhythm of one another. In an instant, the world around me seemed to freeze, leaving me suspended in a moment that felt both fleeting and eternal. Describing the tumult of emotions swirling within me proved to be an elusive challenge. I found myself adrift in an ocean of endless possibilities. Wyatt's powerful embrace enveloped me, my eyelids sealed shut, yet the world around me remained vividly audible, each sound weaving a tapestry of uncertainty. "Can you breathe?" I inquired, a faint smile playing on my lips as I rested my head against his chest, the air thick with unspoken tension. My hands lingered on his body, a silent tension hanging in the air. Each subtle shift sent ripples through my senses. "Yes," Wyatt uttered, his voice quivering with a mix of uncertainty and resolve. "I suppose so, yet I've never experienced anything quite like this." A heavy silence lingered for a few moments. In that fleeting instant, Wyatt's breath quickened, a subtle shift that I found impossible to overlook. "Is that so?" My lips held a heat that seemed to linger, more intense than his. "What comes next for us?" "Helena, the truth eludes me, yet it seems that the tangled web we find ourselves in is as just as it is perplexing," he murmured, his fingers weaving through my hair. "Yet amidst the swirling uncertainties, having you by my side at this very moment eclipses everything else." Time slipped away, leaving me adrift in the depths of my thoughts. All that occupied my thoughts was a haze, a swirling mist of uncertainty. In the midst of my enjoyment, a sudden clarity pierced through the haze, leaving me to ponder whether this fleeting experience was merely a descent into madness or something far more profound. What could possibly be the reason for this? "Component placement," I replied, a hint of intrigue dancing on my lips. Wyatt's gaze lingered on me, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in his eyes. Yet beneath it all, a profound yearning simmered just out of reach. "I suppose an explanation isn't necessary," he murmured, his voice trailing off into uncertainty. At times, the silence surrounding certain matters speaks volumes, leaving us to ponder the unspoken depths of understanding. We found ourselves entwined in the sheets, a world of uncertainty surrounding us. Our breaths intertwined, ensnared in the enchantment of the instant, yet a question lingered, swirling relentlessly in my mind. Could this be merely a fleeting lapse in judgment, or is it the dawn of an unforeseen journey? With a lingering gaze into Wyatt's eyes, I inquired, "How does this conclude?" "Wyatt, have you not pondered it?" Wyatt paused, lost in thought, before drawing in a deep breath. "Well, ponder it in due time," he murmured, his fingers weaving through my hair like a whisper of uncertainty. "In this very moment, let us savor what we have." A whirlwind of emotions stirred within me, yet one truth remained undeniable. That moment transcended everything. Tonight, this moment would belong solely to us, and no matter what unfolds, it would remain etched in our memories. Then came the silence, a silence that held the promise of revelations beyond the past, beyond the future, beyond all comprehension. Having journeyed to this point, it's clear you're captivated by the unfolding tale. There's an abundance yet to be revealed, and you certainly wouldn't want to overlook a single moment. Remember to hit that follow button, activate notifications, and share your thoughts on this enigmatic narrative. I find myself on the edge of anticipation, eager to unravel your thoughts. Shall we delve into this conversation in the comments?